Let's throw our hands in the air as we soar through the sky.
Yatta!
We'll catch the sun with your hand in mine, and if we work as a team, everything will be fine.
Yeah!
Oh, it's Cure of the What Now?
Let's henshin and start the show!
Hello, fellow podcasting middle schoolers, and welcome to Cure of the What Now, the only show where we exploit our friends' talents for that sweet, sweet like economy. I'm Kat, ghost of the show, and I'm not here for your entertainment. I sing for myself.
Wow, very nice. Okay. I'm your co-host, Joel. Have you checked out Raid Shadow Legends yet? But no.
We are not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
We're not sponsored by anyone, but I just thought it would be funny since we're middle schoolers trying to get that click revenue, you know? Like, I assume that we're in this for the monetary gain, you know? It's not for the passion of the artistry. So, you know, HelloFresh, Razor Club, Casper mattresses. But I'm Joel, I'm the co-host of the show, and also I'm going to be singing a beautiful song today.
Oh, my heart is so touched. Will you come back on the show next week?
Of course, for my adoring fans.
So we only really have the one announcement or pre-show discussion point this week. Well, actually, I'm going to say we have two. Our PreCure smorgasbord kind of sampling the different first episodes is going live on the 1st of next month. And it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. So if you are interested in listening to us discuss the first episode of a bunch of different seasons of PreCure, maybe hop on over to our Patreon.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't talk about the Patreon a lot, but let me just really quickly run you down. For just $5, you get early access to our King of the What Now episodes on Mondays instead of Thursdays. You get access to bloopers and extras, and you get access to all of the cold opens that we record for our King of the What Now episodes, but do not make it into the episode. So normal listeners only get to hear one, but everyone else gets to hear those other ones. If you pledge for $10 or more, you get access to the bonus episodes, which are monthly and can be about anything that we so choose, and you know, June's just happens to be about the first episode of 8 different seasons of PreCure, which I think we touched on last episode. And then $20 patrons, they get to actually vote on the cold opens, and they get to affect what jokes make it into the episode or not. Maybe there will be more things that we add later, but for now, those are the main perks.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that we wanted to talk about, someone made a video called Mermaid Monopoly Monday. And
is that the original? Or no, that's the one with Laura, okay.
Yeah, it is the most flawless thing I've ever seen. I love the money-grubbing, seashell-selling Laura Mermaid.
So, I believe that it has some swear words in there, so if you're sensitive to that, or, you know, mom won't let you listen to it, you know, that just be careful about it. But it's excellent. It's a kind of like a rap about seashells by the seashore, and it just slowly ramps up in a way that only parodies can. And it's been this song has existed, and it's been put to other things. There's a Lego version, for example. I think there's a Minecraft version, but it fits Laura so perfectly, and they did the editing so flawlessly that I listened to that just on repeat.
Whoever I saw on Twitter that was saying that AMVs are a dying art should go look at Mermaid Monopoly Monday, because they really did do a fantastic job with everything, the editing and everything.
We should, if we want to bring back AMVs, though, we should put some of the clips of Tropical Rouge to Evanescence or Linkin Park. That's how we're going to revitalize the AMV economy.
I need 500 AMVs of Naruto to the same Linkin Park song on my desk by Friday morning.
Or you're fired, Johnson.
Now, Joel, I have great news for you.
You do?
We actually have a special guest this episode.
Yeah?
Hi, Pete!
Hello! Welcome back! I don't think this was my voice last time. I'm having a bit of a cough right now.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you safe to be on the podcast? Have you been tested and found negative for any viruses that may be going around?
Yes, the Triceratops virus has really been affecting members of my community. Thank you so much for your concern, but no, it's fine. I just I was up last night watching Resident Evil 7, so just a little. I'm a little sleepy, is what it is.
I feel that. I feel those vibes. That's what I was doing. That's why I'm so sleepy.
All right.
So, Pete, the listeners have spoken, and they genuinely enjoy you, and so they asked this week's discussion question in honor of you.
What?
What dinosaur would each of the main cures be if we assigned them one, a la Kyoryu Super Sentai or otherwise?
Oh, yes, yeah, Joel mentioned that we might be talking about that, and that's super exciting. We got this question from r/PreCure from user trillionbones, so thank you so very much, and we are delighted to have a discussion question to talk about. I do want to say, really quickly, on Joel's behalf, they phrase this as like, oh, is this a bonus tweet in a bottle? And I understand the confusion, because that's what Joel calls any comments that come in from our listeners, any, YouTube comments, or Reddit comments, or anything anyone mentions in the Discord that we decided to talk about on mic. However, I think that since this is such a good discussion question, I think it goes here in the discussion question section.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, Pete. That's a very good distinction. We here at King of the What Now are sometimes very particular about getting things in exactly the right box.
Yes. So, Pete, in your honor, because this question was based on you, are there any cures that you think really fit a Triceratops? Does anyone deserve the honor?
Well, I mean, I did kind of go on record in my first appearance saying that I think Songo kind of makes sense for a Triceratops. She's a really cute girl, and she's got the shieldies, The shield is half of a Triceratops' identity. None of them have swords, unfortunately, but maybe someone could give Songo some knives.
I absolutely would give Songo a knife. Imagine her 3 swords styling it, like
Yes.
Zoro, as she's making her X.
That would be fantastic.
She would be absolutely unstoppable.
We can't give Manatsu knives. She would do like the Dragon Twister attack, and she would just destroy Aozora out of enthusiasm, pure enthusiasm.
She absolutely would. You couldn't give Minori a knife, A, because I think she'd be like, this is a tool for violence, and put it down. But B, because the exaggerated version of Minori would be like, I'm going to cut a bitch.
Wow, okay.
You can bleep that out. I'm sorry for my language.
I think that the humor is the fact that it's such a quiet girl saying such strong language. That's particularly funny.
Absolutely.
Imagine if it's something like, I'm missing one of my stamps and someone will pay for this, as she menacingly holds up the knife.
Now, and I mean, Asuka already has knives. Like, you can tell that she's just a big sis delinquent.
Okay.
So
I think that last episode we talked about if she would be willing to lie, and you said, I think she'd absolutely be willing to lie, but she's also the one who's constantly telling Laura no, because it would be inconvenient or strange to have a mermaid at the school, so I like the idea that she's a Sukeban, or that she bends the rules, and that, she's morally gray, but I think in the canon, she's not quite that.
Maybe that's what she wants to be. She wants to be this big, tough loner type, but she can't help but do the right thing and follow the rules.
Yeah, deep down, she's just like a good marshmallow, that sort of thing.
Now, getting back to the discussion question, I think Asuka absolutely has to be an Archaeopteryx.
Okay.
Archaeopteryx?
Is that what the Pokemon Archon is based off of?
It is!
Okay.
And it's like, it's a big feathered bird Pokemon dinosaur, and it's just cool. It's cool as heck.
Yeah, I think that we can all agree that Asuka would be some kind of flying thing, and the only one that I really know is like the pterodactyl and the pterodon, and I assume they're related based off of the first half of their name.
Yes, and the pterodactyl is not a dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the distinction is. I really like dinosaurs. I think they're cool, but it was never a special interest for me the way it is for a lot of kids. And so I don't have like a big list of their names memorized, and I couldn't tell you what distinguishes this creature is a dinosaur and this creature isn't. I just know big thing cool.
Well, allow me to explain, as a dinosaur in the plush, I would have to say that a dinosaur is a feeling in your heart. So the pterodactyls, unfortunately, they didn't have the Tropica Shine, the dinosaur equivalent of Tropica Shine in their hearts. Wow, Pete, are you sure that that's the scientifically accurate description of what a dinosaur is? What is science? I no understand. Thank you, Pete.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so we have Asuka and we have Songo. The only dinosaurs that I like really, really know, you got the Velociraptors, you got the Brachiosauruses, you got the T-Rexes, you got the, did I already say Stegosaurus, and then I guess you have the Loch Ness Monster as well, the headbutt dinosaur, and then the thing, whatever the heck Ducky is from Land Before Time.
The one that, yeah.
The one that I always think of is like the prehistoric equivalent of a duck. Like if there was ever a dinosaur when they took selfie, they did the duck face, it would be those things.
It would, absolutely. Do you think that's because your association with Ducky?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. My brain's very stupid, you see.
So I'm looking at a sheet full of aquatic dinosaurs because I figured what better for Laura, and I didn't want to just give her my favorite, Spinosaurus, because I wasn't sure that would fit her. And I'm looking at this guy called the Metriorhynchus.
Okay.
And this is a dinosaur who absolutely does not pay his taxes. So I think this guy is the most Laura.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So the image that Catherine is showing me has, it basically looks like a crocodile with maybe more of like a dolphin fin or like a fish fin type of a thing. And in the picture, he looks kind of excited, like, yeah! So, yeah, I think that goes with Laura pretty well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, let's see, we haven't done Minori yet.
We haven't done Minori and we haven't done Manatsu are the only two left.
Minori would be some big, graceful herbivore. Now, she could also be a Pachycephalosaurus because of her big brain, but she doesn't strike... Well, she is one of the powerhouse punchy-kicky.
Yeah, so even though you wouldn't expect that she would be, so I'd be willing to say she's the headbutt dinosaur.
I would love to see a PreCure just haul off and headbutt the heck out of a monster.
Sure.
Cure's most likely to do that. Manatsu, Cure Love. Or not Cure Love, Cure Peach.
Yes,
Momozono Love.
Yes. That does get a little confusing with all of the different characters who have, like, names that also might be Cure names or whatever. Or characters who have Cure names that would later go on to be PreCure names. So I was surprised to discover that there's actually a Cure princess who is not from Star Twinkle. Or Go Princess.
It's not from Star Twinkle.
I mean, I'm surprised she's not from Star Twinkle either. Because
there's a Cure Twinkle who's not.
Exactly.
The other day, this is not relevant because I don't think this best represents any of the Cures, but the other day I was telling you about the Mega Croc dinosaur, and I have finally learned its name. It was the Caprasuchus, and I apologize if I butchered that, but he's beautiful and handsome, and I would love him. I want to ride him into battle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that of all of the different Cures, I could see Manatsu, Emperor hockeying all of the crocodiles and riding them gloriously into battle.
Absolutely. Also, I don't think we did one for Manatsu. She's the Tyrant King. She's the T-Rex.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that would really fit her. Like I said, I have a limited repertoire of dinosaurs that I know, and I think that works.
If there's a dino that is tiny and runs really fast, that could be Manatsu.
What about the, from Jurassic Park 2, the little tiny ones that swarmed the girl at the very beginning of the movie?
Oh, yeah, okay. Could be. I could see her being one of the frill ones that spits poison. Ha-ha! Okay. Take my tropical spit!
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. I think we're about ready to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into that sweet, sweet, succinct summary, my guy.
Yeah, the succinct summary. The succinct summary is that they want to hear Laura sing. There's a bunch of people who have heard rumors about mermaids that can steal your souls, and Laura is absolutely flabbergasted that they would think that she could steal souls with her song. But it does turn out that mermaids are good, or they do like to sing, and I think they're all naturally talented at it. Manatsu and the group decide to help out with the broadcasting club. It doesn't go super well, but once Laura shows up as the special guest, she's wearing a skirt, so the broadcast club can't tell that she's a mermaid. When she shows up as the special guest, she's able to get them a little bit better focused, and then she sings a song while the girls fight a monster, and then they beat the monster. It's kind of a nothing episode, to be honest, but...
Yeah, the whole time you were kind of watching and you were like, I don't understand what's going on here. I liked it. I thought it was a fun character episode, which seems to be like what most of these episodes are. There's not really a plot this season. And I know a lot of people missed that from earlier PreCure. They were saying, like, there are too many plot seasons in a row.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I would like a little bit more of a story, but for now, it's whatever. But yeah, it was a good episode, and it offered some really good characterization. You got to see how the different girls reacted to the potentiality of being on mic, you know. Asuka seemed a little awkward in always trying to answer, do your best, to all of the advice segments, and we found out that Minori doesn't want to be recorded on mic at all. But she ends up being on there anyways, and I'm not sure if Laura just wasn't respecting her boundaries, or just wanted to hear what Minori had to say.
Laura doesn't know what boundaries are. There are no boundaries when you're queen.
Or in the sea. You know, there's no nation borders when you're out in the ocean.
Can we agree that Laura's song was just so pretty?
You know, yes, we can agree that it was very pretty. I'm so used to music with accompanying, you know, vocals or music that I thought that it felt a little plain to me. But I think that they did a good job, and it's not every PreCure season where they give an actual character a chance to sing, so I do appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. If she were to become, like, the mid-season Cure, I would love to see her singing play a role in her transformation somehow.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
The one thing about this episode, I know that they need a bad guy fight in every episode, because you have to remind people of the toys, and you have to, that's part of the show, but the bad guy fight almost felt like an afterthought, and I almost would have preferred to just skip the superhero stuff for an episode and just let them be dumb girls trying to do a podcast.
When this episode started, and they were talking about mermaid singing and how much Laura enjoys singing, I thought for sure that we would get a really funny scene of, I guess it would be the most subversive of your expectations for it to be Chongi-Ray, but I was expecting one of the generals to be in their underwater lair trying to sing. And then one of the other ones would be like, you're not very good at that. Like, you know, Chongi-Ray singing, like, in the bathroom, and Dr. Numeria is like, I need to use the bathroom, get out of there, your singing sucks. And then he'd be so you know, he'd go up to the surface, and then maybe he'd see, like, a bunch of people who are, like, having fun, but they're not very good singers, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna take away their motivation. You know, I thought that would be... I'm not feeling this. Yeah, I thought it would be more central to the episode.
That would be a much better way to tie it in. Just a couple quick notes. We did get 2 new character names this episode. The members of the broadcast club are Izumi Komori, she's the head, and then Yuki Hayashida, who handles the sound editing. Mm-hmm. And these are the 2 who were talking about, like, oh my gosh, someone was listening to us when they heard Manatsu talking about, you know, there were mermaids on the radio.
Oh, yeah. So they do their broadcasting during lunch, but a lot of people, a lot of the students are talking with their friends, and so they were worried that nobody hears the broadcast. But Manatsu will always drop like a shine. It turns out that Izumi is fairly good at being kind of a solo broadcaster, but the reason that the Tropical Club gets to take over is because she had stomach issues for entering an eating contest to see if she could eat the jumbo parfait before time was up or something. So she's indisposed, and it turns out that Yuki, the sound girl, is she's not very good at being on mic or anything like that. So shout out to the fact. So you know, we obviously haven't seen this episode until it was available online, and then as we were watching it, when Manatsu had her script notes in front of her, I jokingly was like, haha, Manatsu can't read. No, but she actually kind of can't. Because, you know, in Japanese, if you don't know, there's hiragana and katakana, which are like the simple characters that represent basic sounds. But then there's kanji, which represent more complex ideas, and...
You have to specifically learn each and every kanji that you want to read. You can't, like, learn the sound a kanji makes and then use that to read other kanji.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that some kanji are made up of smaller kanji, so you might be able to guess, but yeah, like, how do you know how to say it out loud is very difficult. And I think there's like 3,000 that students are expected to know by the time they graduate high school. And so we get Manatsu struggling with some of the kanji in the one, and one of them was sunflower. That one seems like it might be a somewhat simple word, but then she also had to read cumulus cloud or whatever it is, and she's just not having it.
Absolutely. Well, and as Joel's saying, joke's on them, she never learned how to read, this scene happens and Asuka says, you need to read more. And Joel just cracked up.
It's so good. We always joke about her being the no brain cell team member, and like, sometimes they show that kind of more literally than figuratively.
And to be clear, like, there's no shame in not knowing how to read.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, the joke is just usually if it's an adult character, you know, like it's a 30-year-old crime boss, and you're just like, joke's on them. Yoshikage Kira never learned how to read.
My favorite version is when there's a sign on the door, and they're like, well, I can't read, so I guess I get to go in. If the sign says no me, I don't know that.
Bender, Laura, grasping hands meme. I choose not to understand what this sign says that says keep out.
Absolutely.
You know, I never asked you, how did you feel about this episode?
Yeah, I think I kind of went into my thoughts. Like I said, I liked it, thought it was a great character episode. For me, I think the difference between this season and Healin' Good, for example, which also was a more character than plot focused, or character than plot driven season, is that I really enjoy the characters in this season. They click for me in a way that the Healin' Good cast didn't. And so watching them kind of each be on mic in their own way, and Sango's freaking out over bugs, and Asuka doesn't know what to say, so she just keeps repeating the same thing over and over, and Manatsu is wildly careening all over the place. Like, that was good. That was very relatable.
Well, and she blasted it at max volume, and they're like, you don't have to yell, it's a microphone, you silly girl, come on. Mm-hmm. I get the impression, and this is not a hating on Healin' Good podcast, maybe it should be, but I get the impression that if those three were put in a broadcasting club situation just apropos of nothing, they just all would have been, like, naturally good at it. You know, like, Hinata would have just immediately gone into, like, hey, did you hear this? Did you hear this? And she would have, like, the, oh, here's an interesting fact about frogs. I don't know why I picked frogs, but, you know, she'd have, like, some of the scientific information, and, like, overall, they just would have been really good at it, I think.
I feel like part two of what drives kind of a cast of PreCure is their lead cure. Manatsu's gonna drag people into stuff, and I can't even remember her.
Nodoka.
Thank you. Nodoka wasn't really the drag people into stuff type. She was a very laid back and reserved pink. So I think she would have worked as a supporting cast member, but as a lead cure, like, there's not really any stakes here because you're not pushing anyone into anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't want to tease people too much with the upcoming bonus episode, but I will say that one of the primary things that we focus on, because we only watched the first episode of each of these seasons, was how the different leads compared and contrasted with each other, and by the end of that episode, we do officially rank which ones we're, like, most excited to see more of, and the ones with the Manatsu type characters, the ones with the, what's her name from Kira Kira?
Oh, Ichika.
Ichika. The seasons with those kinds of characters stood out more to us than those that felt a little bit more laid back, a la Nodoka.
Absolutely, and thank you for that perfect segue. We did not watch Futari Wa this week, we just ran out of time, but you did get all caught up on Kira Kira, as promised.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete is not hosting this episode, or co-hosting this episode for the entire thing, though he is, of course, always here, both in our hearts, and also he's not on Family Business. He was here for earlier in the episode, so.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm a little quiet because my throat is still raw.
Yeah, so I did get all caught up on Kira Kira, or I'm now on episode 14 is the next to watch for Kira Kira, and that's the next episode that we're going to watch for Tropical Rouge and that sort of thing. And let me just say, I thought it was kind of interesting that, Kat and I are joking that Manatsu and them podcasted in this episode, and that's not exactly true. But if they were to podcast, they would want to get their click revenue up, but that's exactly what Himari had to do in her episode 13. She had to overcome her kind of stage fright in order to get their YouTube videos to click and get the views and whatever. I am loving Hugtto PreCure, and I already knew that I would, but episode 11, I won't spoil it, but it felt like it could have been the series finale almost, you know, like it has like the town under a greater threat than the previous 10 episodes, and you get a more heartfelt moment between two of the characters, and the solution is resolved when kind of like the hearts and minds of the town people rise up together. And so I thought that was a really neat episode, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. I think one of my favorite things about Kira is the way that the town is a character.
Yeah, absolutely.
You become very attached to all the different patissiers and the shops that they buy their ingredients from and everything. And it makes it feel like a whole family. Ichika's not just being raised by her dad, but she's being raised by this whole town that she loves.
Yeah, absolutely. I do also like that a lot of pink Kiras happen to, like, be known throughout the town. Some of them are new to town, but some of them are just like, I've lived here my entire life and basically everyone knows me.
Oh my goodness. In that first episode of Fresh, when Momozono is running home and she's waving and she's yelling, I'm back! And everyone's going, hi, love! How was your day, love?
Absolutely.
What is man's ultimate goal if not to be known?
Yeah, you know, absolutely.
I told you about the hell is other people quote, right? And how it's kind of interpreted incorrectly. I'm sorry, this is heavy stuff for a PreCure episode, but basically the idea is that we are constantly seeking to be known, but no one can ever truly know you, but people are constantly perceiving you and knowing you according to their own understanding, and that, to the creator of this saying, was hell.
I see. So we see Crab with abs, magnificent chef, but really he sees himself as Steven, who just, you know, is really good at accounting, and no one will ever know that aspect of him, and no matter how hard he tries to get across his love for numbers and making sure that, you know, everything balances correctly, in the end, he's just seen as a crab with abs.
Exactly.
That's the true existential horror.
Exactly. And I think with that, we are kind of ready to go into our tweets in a bottle. There was a single message in our Discord from one of our friends who is also going through Tropical Rouge PreCure. He is at @ThatOneWelderGuy on Twitter. And he said, PreCure always has good faces. Now, that's not exactly a discussion point, but oh my goodness, the screen caps you can get from these episodes are so funny. You got one in this episode of Laura looking extremely smug and being like, honestly, your show was horrible.
Laura's not the type of character who pulls punches, and so they're like, we did a good job, okay, right? And she's like, no, I'm here to save the day. You need your mermaid queen to kind of come in and whatever. No, I think that the facial expressions in PreCure are excellent, and I have now started good buddy of the podcast, Trey, at RaptorianXD on Twitter. Whenever he is consuming a media, he tends to give it its own hashtag, and he puts it in a thread so that if you don't want to see him talk about this game or movie or whatever, you can mute it. And it also gives people a chance to kind of scroll through, like, if tomorrow I found out that he did a thread on Luigi's Mansion, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can now have one source for all of his thoughts.
You could follow the hashtag specifically and you would get notifications when a new one went up.
Or specifically for archiving purposes. If he did this thread 2 years ago on Twitter, if I searched for it, I'd be able to find all of his thoughts in one place, whereas if you're trying to find the thoughts that I've tweeted about, I don't know, One Piece on Twitter, you would have a harder time because I didn't organize it by hashtag. What I've now started is I've started doing that with Kira PreCure Olive Mode. So Kira Codwin is where all of that goodness will be stored, and I'm just posting any images that I find particularly funny or interesting or what, and I just love the no brain cells lower classmen trio.
Yes, absolutely. There's an episode coming up eventually where they all get scared by what they think is a snake, and the faces that they make while Akira is standing there very confused are excellent. They are very doofy girls, and they are just the best.
Akira did not expect to adopt these young children, but here she is.
Now, this other thought comes to us from Reddit again, from trillionbones, and was actually supposed to be a thought for the bonus episode we recorded, but unfortunately we recorded before this thought came in.
You want to know something really funny? I kind of thought that, we're relatively low-key on Reddit. We don't get a lot of comments, and so the day after we finished recording the bonus episode where I solicited comments, I was like, do I update the post to say, hey, we've recorded, we don't want to hear we want to hear your thoughts, but we won't be able to include it in the episode. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm pretty sure that the post will
get buried.
It'll get buried under new stuff. And then we did, in fact, get a comment, and it was a very lovely comment. I cannot express enough how excited I was to read it, but we are now taking that and folding it into this episode so that...
Yes, exactly. So Trillion Bones wanted us to talk a little bit more at length about the Hugtto intro of Hana cutting her own bangs to look more grown up, and it just absolutely backfiring for her.
They had no way of knowing that you did bring up that's a...
Exactly. So peek into the bonus episode for you guys, but I looked at Joel and I went, as a man, I don't know if you know this, but seeing another woman cut her own bangs is not only a rite of passage, but it's viscerally painful. As soon as I and the other friend, who is also a woman, who was watching this episode with us, as soon as we saw her take out the scissors, we went, oh no, oh honey, don't do that. Because you know it's gonna go wrong. And then you just have to wait. Like, there's nothing you can do with bad bangs. You can't really brush them out. You just have to sit there until they grow long enough that you can brush them out. I also thought it was funny that she thought that the bangs she had were childish. So I don't know if you remember what her hair looked like before she cut it, but it was kind of long and wavy and it was a little in her eyes. Now, when I was a very little girl, I had what I would describe as like the stereotypical like Karen bangs, I guess, like the flat across your forehead kind of bangs. And when I got to like 6 or 7 or so, I went, bangs are for babies. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm growing mine out. And I grew them out and I don't have bangs anymore as an adult. I haven't since then. So it was funny to me that she was like, no, I'm going to purposefully give myself a very specific style of bangs.
Okay.
At one point, I tried to have the emo, like, side part bangs that, like, sweep over your eyes.
The Spider-Man 3 type of...
That didn't work for me. It didn't... My hair was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people can style their hair very well, but, maybe if you are a middle school girl, maybe you don't have the skills yet, and maybe you should practice on, like, the family dog or something.
Maybe you should ask your mom. I know Hana's point was that she wanted to be grown up, but you have a mom right there. She probably did this idiot thing when she was your age.
Well, and deep down, I think maybe she knew that because she was keeping it as a secret. She's like, oh, they're going to be so surprised. And like, sometimes you keep a secret because you're excited to reveal it, but sometimes you keep a secret because maybe other people might try to stop you, or maybe it's not a good idea, and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And then my one final thought regarding that is that her whole thing is she wants to be grown up, right? And she doesn't want to be seen as a rascal anymore. Well, cutting your own bangs and having it go horribly wrong is a very rascally, childish thing to do.
Yes.
So even as she's trying to escape being a child, she's engaging in childish behavior. And so I think her development over the series is probably going to be really interesting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Hugtto. You can hear more of my thoughts in the bonus episode.
I personally think that I'm not going to watch Hugtto PreCure all the way through past episode 1 until I've seen all of the other seasons before. It might be fun to watch Hugtto, get some of the references and crossovers and stuff, because I think that there's an episode where it references the past 14 seasons. This is the special 15th year anniversary. I guess it could be fun to watch it, see a bunch of references I don't get, go back, rewatch the series, and then watch Hugtto again, but I only have a finite time on this planet, and so I think what I'll do is I'll hold off until I've seen all of the other 14 in their full glory. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to do that as well. Although I will say, even not knowing a single other cure, the climactic battle of Hugtto was super cool. Yeah, absolutely. You've seen that out of context before. I have, yeah. I'll make a solid Cotwin promise. Is it with a K or with a C? It doesn't matter. They're pronounced the same phonetically. Amazing how that worked out. One of them's not Sotwin. But I am making a promise here that once we have caught up on every season of PreCure, if there's some, there's always a currently airing season, so it's impossible for us to be completely done with all seasons. For 1 week it's possible, but then the next one will start up. Once we are all caught up and we've experienced all 19 seasons in their full glory, and we've seen the movies and the crossovers and whatnot, we're going to do a couple of, like, tier lists or, like, ranking videos or whatever, because I think, you know, which pink cure has the best intro is a question that we could tackle now, but there's other ones that are more interesting once you've seen their characters develop over time, because, you know, who's best cure? I did not think that Sparkle and Twinkle were going to be two of my favorites, and then you get to the end of the season and you're just like, I like them.
You're like, oh no, do I like yellow cures?
Yes, absolutely. And that has been your
Doot. Final thought. Outro goes here.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Don't forget to Tropica Shine. And we love your comments, your reviews, your nice emails. We are always willing to talk about thoughts on the podcast. And so have a great day.
Absolutely. And stick around for a special surprise.
Ha-ha! What a great episode of King of the What Now, your One Piece podcast that started from the very beginning and stars these two doofuses. If you want to follow us on social media, Twitter is the best place to do that. I am at KOTWN_pod.
And I am at Pirate Ghost Host.
Absolutely, yes. We share all sorts of thoughts on there, some related to the podcast, some related to other things. But you can also reach us through email at KingOfTheWhatPod@gmail.com, or you can also find us on Patreon. We would love some subscribers or supporters, whatever the technical term is. Patrons. So fancy and grown up. And you can find that at patreon.com/KingOfTheWhatPod. You can find all sorts of things like bonus episodes, and you get to see the full cold open candidates, not just the ones that make it into the episode. Maybe someday if I learn to draw, I'll put stuff up there. We're always looking for suggestions and feedback. And speaking of which,
please take a moment to rate and review our podcast wherever you get us from. So iTunes, Spotify, Scrivener, that's for writing. But wherever you listen to our podcast, take a moment to leave a review. It helps other people find us. We are so grateful to all of our listeners, and we couldn't do this without you.
Absolutely. Word of mouth is super powerful, so if you have a friend who likes One Piece and they haven't heard of us, just direct them to the latest episode, and if they hate us, they can tell us why. And if there's an actionable item, we'll try to please you. That's how this works. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. But before we get to that plot point, she meets a cute guy. There's a butterfly, and she's like, ooh, pretty butterfly.
This is the most heterosexual season of PreCure I've ever seen.
Wow. Every episode that we've done, I've been the one to kind of point out the different language things that I saw, but you figured it out. Good job, baby.
Karen is so cool and smart and pretty and amazing.
I write her name in my notebook sometimes. I put a little heart around in there. I put my name in the heart, too. But Momozono Love is the first one that's just like, I want to beat the shit out of this monster that's like 10 feet tall. This show is amazing! I love it! I've had her for 5 minutes and I would die if anything happened to her.
If you got the opportunity to yeet either Candy or Chopper off of a ship, which one would you choose?
Once every 1,000 years, a pink cure is born with multiple brain cells. This season tells the story of this legendary girl. They're dance-themed transformations. Ah! I would be screaming much louder, but I don't want it to sound horrible on mic.
Yeah,
but
you don't
I'm very excited. But then the baby and the hamster disappear, and Hana thinks, best not look into that.
Stinky cat girl. Go pee in a box. Ants. Ant-Man.
This is not a Paul Rudd appreciation podcast.
Why isn't it?
It should be.
And Maho Tsukai is about holding hands as often as you want to hold those hands.
You'd give that a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, absolutely. It is not, what do they say in Splatoon? You're either fresh or you're...
It's been too long since I played Splatoon.
Huh. Anyway, moldy. Moldy is what it
is. Are you a squid? Are you kid? Or are you bread? The answer may surprise you.